Beatrice was just 24 years old, a college graduate with a loving family and a future full of possibilities. But one night in 2009, everything changed. She was at a restaurant in Malibu when things started to go strange. Soon she was arrested and released into the night, alone and vulnerable without any money, a phone, or a ride back home. Her family searched for her desperately, but it wasn't until a year later that something chilling was found in a remote canyon. This discovery revealed clues about Mitrice's fate, but it also raised even more questions as to who could be behind this tragedy. Join us as we explore the haunting story of Mitrice Richardson, a real life mystery that shows us how fragile life can be. This is a story that will stay with you long after you learn about the facts, and it's a reminder that even in our everyday world, darkness can still lurk in the shadows. Hi guys, and welcome back to Crimeco, your go-to place for uncovering some of the most intriguing true crime cases from all over the world. We're here to bring you the most detailed information, and if you find this intriguing, we'll be thrilled if you could subscribe to our channel. Also, hitting the like button goes a long way to helping us grow, so we really appreciate your support. Now, grab your blanket and let's get into today's fascinating case. Malibu, California. Winding roads, rolling hills, and the sparkling Pacific Ocean. It's a picture-perfect escape from the busy city life of Los Angeles, known for its beaches, celebrities, and stunning scenery. But on a certain day, darkness fell upon this usually tranquil Malibu canyon. This story starts at Jeffrey's, a fancy restaurant nestled in the canyon, full of ivy walls, a classy patio, and breathtaking views. It seems like paradise, attracting wealthy customers with its delicious food and stunning sights. But for Beatrice, this beautiful setting would become her worst nightmare. Beatrice Richardson was born on April 30th, 1985, and grew up in the quiet California town of Covina. Her mom and stepdad, Latrice and Larry Sutton, watched over her and nurtured her creative spirit. Beatrice was full of life and had a warm, joyful personality that made everyone around her smile. She went to South Hills High School and then on to California State University, where she graduated with a degree in psychology in 2008. Beatrice was proud of her academic achievements, and so was her family. Beyond her studies, Beatrice was very adventurous and passionate. She was openly lesbian and in a loving relationship with her girlfriend, Tessa Moon. She even competed in beauty pageants to raise awareness for causes she cared about. Driven and determined, Beatrice started building her career. She interned with a forensic psychologist and also worked part-time as a dancer to make ends meet. Everyone who knew her believed that she had a bright future ahead of her. Unfortunately, calamity struck on a fateful September day. What started as a night out at a restaurant in Malibu took a dark turn. Beatrice's behavior became strange, leading authorities to have to intervene. This was the beginning of a horrifying ordeal for Beatrice's loved ones, a stark contrast to the bright future they had envisioned for her. What happened that night in Malibu, and where did it all lead to? On September 16, 2009, 24-year-old Beatrice Richardson finished her shift at a freight company and headed to Malibu, a beach town about 30 miles west of LA. She first stopped at her aunt's house, but when no one was home, Beatrice playfully left a note, then continued on. Her next stop was at Jeffrey's, a fancy restaurant in the canyon. Beatrice, a recent college graduate with a degree in psychology, ordered a pricey steak and a cocktail, enjoying a seemingly normal night out. The California sun was setting over Malibu Canyon, casting long shadows as the worries about Beatrice Richardson grew deeper. Staff at Jeffrey's, the fancy restaurant where she was having dinner, were getting increasingly concerned about her strange behavior. Beatrice, usually confident and friendly, wasn't really acting like herself. She was talking in a way that made no sense, joining strangers at their table and rambling about being from Mars. When the bill of $89 arrived for her expensive meal, she claimed that someone else would pay, even though she clearly hadn't brought enough money. The staff were worried and felt they had to do something to help. They called the police, hoping they would get Mitrice the help that she seemed to need. They never imagined this simple call would have such terrible consequences. As soon as the police arrived, they took control of the situation, maybe even a bit too quickly. Even though Mitrice passed a test meant to test if she was drunk, they arrested her on the spot. This was just the beginning of a dark and confusing time for Mitrice, a time that would change her life forever. The police claimed they let her get sober and aware, but witnesses saw differently. They said that she seemed lost in a world of her own, disconnected from reality. This strange arrest took a dark turn when they learned her phone, her purse, and money were all locked away in her impounded car on suspicion of substance use. Alone and confused, the very people called to help her left her abandoned on the dark canyon roads. Was it intentional, a cruel trick, or just a huge mistake by the police? Whatever the reason, she was left vulnerable, exposed to whatever dangers lurked in the shadows. Did someone lure her out, leaving her helpless, or did a misunderstanding and bad decisions lead to a terrible tragedy? One thing is certain, her story is chilling. That night, lost and alone, she wandered towards an unknown fate and one that would forever change her life. The story of Mitrice Richardson gets even stranger after her release from jail. Let out late at night on deserted roads, her situation went from bad to worse. Early the next morning at around 6:30 a.m., a man named Bill Smith saw something unsettling outside his window. In his backyard stood a tall African American woman who looked just like Mitrice. She seemed calm, simply saying she was just resting when Smith asked if she was okay. Worried, Smith called the police, but by the time they arrived, the woman had vanished. This wasn't the only strange sighting that day. Throughout September 17th, people reported seeing her confused and disoriented, walking in different parts of the canyon. The last confirmed sighting was around 1:30 p.m. on Pyramar Road. Sadly, this was the last anyone would see of Mitrice alive. These sightings painted a picture of a woman lost, alone, and vulnerable. Mitrice was gone, vanished into the darkness of the canyon. Back home, her family was frantic. Her mom, Latrice, pled with the authorities who had released Mitrice the night before, but they didn't seem to care. It wasn't until 2 days later that they really took action. Search teams, dogs, and even helicopters searched the canyons looking for any sign of her, but they found nothing. It was like she had simply disappeared. The search ended, leaving more questions than answers. These questions would hang heavy in the air for the next 11 months until the truth about her fate finally came to light. Beatrice was gone, vanished like a wisp of smoke. Family refused to believe that she was gone for good, even as days turned into weeks and weeks into months. Beatrice's mom wouldn't give up. She pushed the authorities to find her daughter, refusing to accept that she had disappeared or even hurt herself. She knew that there had to be answers. Months passed with no clues, but Lettice would not give up. January 2010, she helped organize a massive search, one of the biggest ever in the area. Hundreds of people spent weeks combing the canyons, but still nothing was found. Family was heartbroken and frustrated. Some people even started to believe something terrible had happened to her. Then in June, a search party led by her mom found something disturbing. Racist and offensive graffiti scrawled on the canyon walls. It added another layer of fear and confusion to the mystery. Despite these unsettling discoveries, Mitrice was still missing until finally, Almost a year after she vanished, a horrifying truth was stumbled upon, revealing what happened to the bright young woman. It was on August 9th, 2010, park rangers searching for illegal green herbs in a remote part of Santa Monica Mountains stumbled upon something awful. In the scorching summer heat, hidden amongst dry earth and bushes, they found human leftovers scattered in a creek bed. A skull detached from a spine lay alongside other bones, a grim picture of what was once a person. This discovery sent chills down everyone's spine. Could these remains belong to Mistress Richardson, the young woman who vanished almost a year ago? Fear hung heavy in the air as the rangers contacted authorities. Over the next 2 days, under the harsh sun, investigators carefully gathered the remains. Mistress's family, who had tirelessly searched for her, now faced the possibility of their worst nightmare coming true. The unbearable wait ended on August 11th. Dental records confirmed the horrifying truth. The remains belonged to 24-year-old Mistress Richardson. The vibrant young woman was gone. Her life tragically ended in the unforgiving wilderness. This discovery brought closure to the agonizing uncertainty the family had endured, but it also birthed a new storm of questions. How did she end up in the remote location? Was there foul play involved? And the most haunting question of all, did she suffer before her death? Her loved ones, overwhelmed with grief, now had to face a new fight, finding answers to the unimaginable questions surrounding her death. This was a fight they never wanted, but one they were determined to win. As investigators gathered the remains, a shocking discovery was made. An anthropologist helping the family found a finger bone that officials had missed. This misstep only fueled their doubts about the investigation. The thing was, the official cause of death was listed as undetermined despite the clear signs of tampering. This felt like a slap in the face to Mistress's family. How could they ignore the obvious signs of and dismiss the possibility of foul play? They believed the system had failed Mistress twice. First, by letting her wander the canyons alone, and then by inadequately investigating her death. They refused to accept the official story and were determined to find the truth, no matter how painful it might be. Adding insult to injury, the authorities labeled Mistress as a transient, completely ignoring her true identity as a college graduate and a loved member of a family. This fueled their suspicion of bias and deepened their grief. For the Richardsons, this was a fight for justice for their beloved daughter. Their light had been extinguished, but their will to find answers burned brighter than ever. They were determined to fight for the truth, even if it meant confronting some uncomfortable realities. In 2010, Mistress's parents sued the county and the police, saying they were negligent and didn't properly look for Mistress or investigate her death. As the lawsuit went on, more and more strange things came out. It seemed like the police weren't telling the whole story. For example, important video footage from the jail just went missing, and search teams seemed uninterested in finding Mistress. The place where her remains were found was also close to where she was last seen alive. Could something bad have happened near people's homes? The public got angry too, and the county settled the lawsuit with Mistress's parents by paying them the sum of $900,000. But her mom still wasn't satisfied. She wanted a real investigation, so she asked the state government to look into it. At first they said no, but eventually they agreed. Mistress's family never gave up. Even after they received the settlement, they kept fighting for the truth. They believed the police were not telling the whole story and that Mistress deserved better. In 2015, they convinced the state government to take a closer look at the case. After months of investigation, the state decided not to press charges against anyone. This was a blow to the Richardson's family, but they didn't give up. 2 months later, the state surprisingly changed its mind and opened a full investigation. They looked at everything from how Matrice was arrested to how the police investigated her death. They questioned key figures like the officers involved and even looked into reports that search dogs were not used properly. They also discovered that the police may have tried to hide details about Matrice's behavior from the restaurant where she had dinner. It was a glimmer of hope for Matrice's family, but it was short lived. In 2016, after a year of investigation, the state again decided not to press charges. This was a heartbreaking outcome for Matrice's loved ones, who felt like they had fought so hard for nothing. They had exposed some problems, but no one was held accountable for what happened to her. Matrice's story is a sad one, but it also shows the power of not giving up. Even though they didn't get the justice they wanted, her family brought attention to important issues and hopefully prevented similar tragedies from happening in the future. This story showed how people of color can be treated unfairly by the system and how people with mental health issues sometimes aren't given the help they actually need. Because of Matrice's story, the police department made some big changes. They no longer release people at night without a safe way to get home, and they start searching for missing people much faster. They also learned to treat crime scenes more carefully. These changes may not bring Matrice back, but they make things safer for others. Her family also helped raise awareness about mental health issues, especially in communities of color. More people are now reaching out for help when they need it. While nothing can replace Matrice, her family's fight made sure her story wouldn't be forgotten. They showed that even when things seem impossible, speaking up and fighting for what's right can make a difference. Before you head out, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so that you are informed whenever we upload another case just like this. We really appreciate having you guys as part of our community, and we look forward to seeing you in the next exploration. Until next time.